Previously on Professor Whom.
Say, are you that mysterious time traveler who goes around helping teachers with professional development?
The very same. It's slightly more spacious on the interior. I get that a lot.
Wait, are you saying that you have access to icebreakers that not only provide student engagement, but also help to build relationships?
Oh, I would never joke about icebreakers.
And that's another adventure in the books. Who would have thought that Galileo knew so much about active learning? Oh, and nice work with that last-minute save, Grabo.
Wait, what about my transitions for starting and ending my class?
And now, the continuation.
Wait, what about my transitions for starting and ending my class?
Great point, Shannon. Those transitions can really set the tone for how students learn and behave. I'll just reroute my workroom controls to take us to the near future where you already have them ironed out. You can learn from yourself.
But if I don't have my transitions figured out now, how can I?
It's complicated. Time is like this big jumbled ball of could-be's and almost was's. Best not to think about it. Now, here we go.
Professor, what's happening?
We've hit a temporal undercurrent that's dragging us off course. Our quantum slipstream is forcing us beyond the universal threshold.
Beyond the universe?
The fluid link cells are completely out of Mercury. They'll need time to recharge. In the meantime, let's try to figure out where we are.
Look, it's me?
It's just as I feared, Shannon. We've been pulled off course into some sort of alternate universe. It looks like alternate you could use a little help with transitions as well. Are you ready for another professional development adventure?
You bet, Professor. We've got to help me.
Welcome to Launch Your Classroom. I'm Kyle Pope. It's the beginning of the school day. Students are stampeding through the hallways, conversing loudly with their friends, unintentionally or intentionally running into one another. One student drops their breakfast on the floor, creating a mess. Another starts an argument over a misunderstanding. Among all this chaos, the students enter your classroom. And what about the end of the day? Students finish their assignments early, pack up, and begin crowding the doorway. Book bags swing uncontrollably, knocking down your classroom decorations. No one can hear the afternoon announcements. One student shouts, "Go!" Then the pushing begins. Everyone is tensely anticipating the dismissal bell. Yes, the start and end of your class are both ripe for misbehavior. As a teacher, the best way you can prevent the chaos during these times is to develop strong transitions. When your students know your expectations and procedures from changing settings and activities, they will be far less likely to engage in disruptive behavior. So today on Launch Your Classroom, we're going to share how to create transitions for starting and ending your class. Let's begin with our first strategy.
Oh, hello. You're just in time to catch me greeting my students at the start of the day. Good morning, Sully.
Hi, Miss Rachel. Good morning.
It's so important to greet your students and build rapport before they enter the classroom, but it is just as important to have an activity ready to go as your students arrive and take their seats. That's where board teasers come in. Board teasers are short interest builders related to your content that students can start as soon as they sit down. You should design your board teasers to be both engaging and to transition your students smoothly into learning mode. Howdy, Clarice.
Yay!
They also keep students meaningfully occupied before your lesson begins, so you have fewer management problems. Hello there, Patrick.
Hi, Miss Rachel.
When introducing board teasers, you'll want to establish expectations. Let them know where to answer the questions, whether to turn them in, and how long they have to complete them. Let's check back in after lunch, shall we? Welcome back, Clarice. Did you enjoy your lunch?
I had pizza!
Yum, my favorite. Board teasers are great when you're switching between lessons for the day or for when your students are returning to class as a group. Once all of your students are in the class, you can head on inside and make the rounds. Circulate around the classroom while your students are finishing up their board teaser. This is a great time to quietly check in or take roll. Hey again, Sully. I have your makeup work from yesterday all prepped. Could you stop by after class so I can hand those worksheets off to you?
Of course. Thanks.
How about we check in again later? Maybe after art class? Hey there, Patrick. Did you finish that self-portrait you've been working so hard on?
I did. Here it is.
Amazing! Before you take it home, could we display it in the class?
Wow. Yeah.
You'll want to provide motivation for careful, thoughtful work. After students complete their board teasers, reward them with praise or small tokens. Additionally, if you have a class reward system, let this be an opportunity for students to get points for individual and whole class effort. Okay, class, time's up for the board teasers. Let's share a few and then I'll collect them.
I drew the magma chamber like it's filled with rainbow magma. I thought that would be fun. And here is rainbow lava flowing out of the caldera.
That's really imaginative, Clarice. I actually have a rainbow eraser that I believe has your name on it.
Oh.
Having your students focus on a high-interest, quick activity before digging into your lessons will help set the tone for the rest of your class. Your students will be more prepared, settled in, and aware of your expectations before your instruction even officially begins. Use this strategy and your students will never enter your classroom bored.
There are three main types of transitions: beginning of class, between activities, and end of class. No matter when they occur, transitions can save time, increase the efficacy of your instruction, and even minimize disruption. Let's take a moment to examine each of the benefits that result from well-planned transitions. First, a well-executed transition can save you and your students time. Think about when you give instructions. If you establish an effective call to attention and wait until students are ready and listening, you need only give those instructions once. This, in turn, means you and your students have more time to devote to the task at hand. Then, instead of repeating directions for students who weren't paying attention, you can focus on clarifying concepts for students who need help with the content. This leads us to the second benefit of a well-planned transition: increased efficacy of instruction. It's logical that when students are given time to transition to a new lesson, their minds are more prepared to grasp new information. Consider a class that returns from lunch and moves right into a mathematics lesson. Implementing a transitional activity such as a quick, engaging session of math skill practice prepares students' brains for that subject area and gives meaning to the phrase "ready to learn." Finally, transitions can act as brain breaks, helping students regain their focus before they have the chance to become disruptive. Think of a group of students completing a high-stakes test. Simply collecting the test materials and moving immediately into another lesson risks frustration and possibly off-task behavior. Instead, consider transitioning from one task to another by performing a couple guided yoga poses or a short game involving movement and memory. Well-timed transitions can minimize disruptive behavior, which also maximizes instructional time. Transitions really do matter. Thoughtfully planning, teaching, and rehearsing transitions with your students will save class time, make instruction more impactful, and minimize disruption. If you need increased attention or improved on-task behavior in between activities, take some time to work on your transitions. The benefits are well worth the effort.
We need to make sure that you don't come into contact with your alternate self.
Why? We run into other Shannons all the time.
I know, and it wasn't a great idea then either. It's looking pretty rough out there. Take a peek, Shannon. Tell me what you see.
Patrick and Arthur were having a loud conversation in the hallway before the bell rang. They've brought it inside the classroom with them, and now it's spreading to other students.
Go on.
The alternate me is busy sorting materials. She's completely distracted, and she has her back to the class. Good morning, class. Today we're going to learn about silt. Krebster's dictionary defines silt as... And now she's launching straight into direct instruction without any kind of warm-up for her students.
Seems like she could use some assistance with start of class transitions.
Some scientists think that silt is formed by great glaciers grinding together. Another thing about silt is... the teacher's workroom. Excuse me for 1 minute, class. I need to gather some supplies for our lab.
She's coming this way.
What do we do? Stall! Hello there. Are you a new faculty member?
Ah, yes. Just call me the professor. Say, how's the start of your class going?
Well, I admit that it could be going a little smoother. I did a ton of lesson planning for this unit, but I can't seem to get my students to settle in.
Have you ever tried a board teaser?
Wow!
These are great for getting your students settled in, engaged, and thinking about your topic. I have a few more ideas if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Okay, just a few minutes left before the end of class. Time to fit in a few more facts about the reflection of light. Today's experiment demonstrated that the angle of incidence...
Just a few minutes left before the end of class. Time to start planning for Derby's birthday this weekend. Let's see.
Uh-oh, only a few minutes left in class. Time to wrap up my last-minute tasks. Well, I finished the discussion on the results, but I still have to create...
Oh no. I tried to keep my students occupied by teaching right up to the bell, but their anticipation for the end of class has understandably led to some off-task behavior and general confusion. Luckily, by using a simple strategy, I can make better use of those last few moments of instructional time. Let's turn back the clock and give it a try. It's important to keep students engaged for the entire class duration. After all, every minute spent effectively is another minute spent learning. But it's natural for students' minds to wander as the end of class approaches. Knowing this, I've created a checklist to help students make proper use of that time. Here, let's take a look. This is the list of activities my students should perform as they approach the end of class. They include putting away lab supplies, turning in their formative assessment, cleaning up their desk area, and adding any upcoming assignments to their agendas. I will present this checklist every day so that it becomes part of our routine. That way, rather than becoming fidgety or anxious at the end of class, students will have predictable, low-stakes tasks to channel their energy into. It's important to designate an appropriate amount of time to the checklist. Students should be able to get everything done without having too much time to spare. Otherwise, they may wind up off task again. Look at that. It's time to put this strategy into action.
To measure the angle of light.
Okay, class. Great job working on your lab experiments today. I look forward to reading your results. Now it's time to start winding down. Please review and complete your end-of-day checklist, which I've displayed here. You have from now until the bell rings to get everything done. I see one student who's putting away their lab materials. I see two students who are talking instead of handing in their assessments. Great job getting back on task. We rehearsed expectations surrounding the checklist before, so students know how to keep their noise levels to a minimum, and they also know where everything goes. It's important to monitor their behavior and provide both praise and redirection. Patrick has finished his checklist with time to spare. I've established a quiet, independent task for students who finish early. Choosing a high-interest activity will serve to reward students for their positive behavior while keeping their attention focused on something constructive. Patrick, I see that you finished your checklist ahead of time. Please enjoy some independent reading until the bell rings. Remember, consistency is key, so return to the checklist at the same time every day. That said, be sure to adapt your tasks as needed. We did a lab today, but tomorrow we'll be using computers. I'll swap out lab materials for laptops and introduce new procedures since we've never done that task before. That way, when the bell rings, everything will be reset for our next lesson, including my students' minds. That's something that we can check off the list.
You probably already know that whenever you move quickly and smoothly from one activity or setting to another, those transitions save you time. But let's take that one step further. Efficient transitions can actually give you time. Those minutes you save can add up. Since most schools value bell-to-bell instruction, you and your administration will appreciate these additional minutes dedicated to learning. So, what can you do with all that extra instructional time? Here are just a few suggestions. Number 1, read aloud to your students. It's always a great idea to have an age-appropriate, high-interest book on hand that relates to your content. Ask your school media specialist for suggestions. In addition, websites that provide illustrated, content-based read-alouds provide an easy alternative. Even if it's just for a few moments, reading aloud to students is a wonderful use of extra time. Builds literacy skills and easily incorporates student interest into your teaching. Number 2, play a quick content-based game. Planning this type of activity ahead of time can greatly benefit you and your students, since you can play for a few minutes when you have the time, or save it as an end-of-unit review. There are plenty of computer-based games, but quick, engaging, low-tech games work well too. For example, if you are teaching a unit on mammals, ask students to list as many mammals as they can in 1 minute, and then spend another minute comparing their list with 1 or 2 nearby classmates. Number 3, student choice activities. Consider posting a list of acceptable free time activities that include approved computer games, silent reading, crossword puzzles, or other quiet activities. Then, when you find yourself with a few extra moments, allow students to choose their own activity. If allowed by your administration, some students may want to use the time to get started on homework. Just make sure that you clearly communicate what is acceptable and monitor to ensure that students comply with your expectations. An added benefit, autonomy makes students use their time more wisely. Whatever you decide to do with extra instructional time, make sure students receive recognition for their part in it. After all, the reason those minutes add up is because your students are quick and efficient in transitioning from one activity to the next.
Teachers face the challenge of keeping the chaos of the hallway out at the beginning of class and keeping their students productive at the end of class. Without structure during these important times, students will become increasingly disruptive and potentially derail an entire lesson. As a teacher, you need to develop effective transitions to prevent misbehavior and ensure student learning takes place. So we encourage you to examine how you are starting and ending your class, then employ sound transitions like those we've demonstrated today. This month on Launch Your Classroom, we're going to continue to look at transitions for starting and ending your class. We'll cover another strategy called exit stations for use before the bell rings. We'll sit down with an expert educator to discuss questions teachers have about transitions. We're going to take a look at how a teacher can transition to and from their extra duties. Then at the end of the month, we'll play Launch Your Quiz Show to see what we've learned about transitions. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to get our upcoming content. And check out launchyourclassroom.com for all your professional development needs. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Launch Your Classroom.
These end-of-class transitions are perfect. I can keep my class engaged and well-managed bell to bell. I can't wait to use them again tomorrow.
Just remember to mix up the options from time to time so student interest stays peaked. Well, it looks like my job here is done.
Where are you going?
Back to my universe. Take care, Shannon. Stick with transitions for learning and you'll do great.
Who was that?
I think it was an instructional coach from another universe.
Oh, I know that universe. They've got a great professional development series.
All right, fuel cells are flush with mercury. I'll just take off the temporal parking brake, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. Oh! Ah! What a landing! Check the scanner, Shannon. Where are we?
Uh-oh. We're in Plato's Academy, 348 BC. And it looks like he needs help with classroom rules and consequences.